All right, Steve, we'll see you back here in a minute. New tonight, the St. Louis sports community, friends, and family are mourning the loss of Brian McKenna. He was hit by a driver early this morning in South City. First Alert 4 caught up with those who loved Brian and are reminiscing on their time spent together.
And if all of us can take that and live out like Brian lived, the world will be better.
At only 61 years old, Brian McKenna is leaving a legacy around the St. Louis area. A friend of McKenna, Julie Devote, knows him from their St. Louis Hills neighborhood.
But he was kind of legendary before I knew him in the neighborhood. He was on the radio, super good looking, super duper just cool, and was still very friendly.
His cool personality making him a star on the airwaves for nearly 2 decades. The former St. Louis sports talk broadcaster died Saturday morning after being struck by a car around 1 a.m. near Hampton and Nottingham Avenues. According to SLMPD, the driver of the vehicle was uninjured and is cooperating with police.
Buddy, he was very kind, and he liked to visit with the neighbors and make sure if they needed anything. And he always decorated his porch to make everybody happy.
Now people like Teresa Sonnenschein are returning the favor, decorating McKenna's St. Louis Hills home with flowers, balloons, and cards.
He worked so hard to share his gratitude and his positivity out to everyone else.
According to friends, his positivity continued during his battle with cancer. In May of 2020, even when the world was locked down, hundreds of cars paraded past his home for a car parade and fundraiser to support him. His health struggles impacting his ability to work, but not to impact. McKenna used his platform and recognition to support worthy causes in the area.
He connected with old ladies, young ladies, old men, young men, kids. He connected with everyone, and that's just what's going to be really lost.
Accident reconstruction investigators are handling the investigation. Coming up later, we'll have reaction from the St. Louis sports community on McKenna's passing. Well,